The first time I ever met Jerry Garcia was in the fall of 1974. I had been a Deadhead since high school, growing up here in San Diego, listening to him on KPRI FM radio. And I can remember the very first show I went to. I was in high school and I was listening to the radio station, and they had just an unbelievable jam. And the DJ comes on, and this was really in the advent of FM radio. And the DJ goes, and that, boys and girls, was the Grateful Dead from San Francisco. And they had a concert last weekend, and so many people showed up that they just broke down the doors and the gates, and everybody got in free. And so now they're playing another concert this weekend in LA, and who knows what's going to happen. That's what the Grateful Dead's about. And so a bunch of my friends, we all got together. We didn't have any money, but one of the guys borrowed his parents' car, and we drove up to Los Angeles, and we went to the show where we got in free, sure enough, and it just blew our minds. And then we continued to go all through high school. We continued to go through college. They came to UCLA. We started traveling in those days for the concerts. Back in those days, it was really fun because the old airline, this was before people were flying around, and it was a business airline called PSA, Pacific Southwest Airlines. And on the weekends, you could buy, for $20, you could buy a pass and go anywhere in the whole system all weekend long. And the stewardesses in those days, they wore mini skirts and hot pants, and they served, on the weekends, they served free drinks, and they never checked ID. And it was just absolutely incredible. The plane just full of Deadheads all weekend long, having the time of our lives. And then, when I was in college and starting to get recognized and some notoriety of my own, people would come up to me and say, Bill, would you like some backstage passes? You want to go meet the band? And I was very shy, very reserved guy, and had a horrendous speech impediment, couldn't really talk at all because I stuttered so badly. And so I never took anybody up on that. But we would go to Santa Barbara, we'd go to San Bernardino, we'd go over to Arizona, and it just fabulous following the Dead around. And then I moved to Oregon and joined the Portland Trail Blazers in the fall of 1974. And I'm reading the local paper, and the Grateful Dead are coming to the Paramount Theater, and it was unbelievable. So I ride my bike just down the street from where I was living, right to the Paramount in downtown on Broadway, and I get there really early in the afternoon, and I'm about the 10th or 12th person in line, stay in line all day to get a good seat. They open the doors, race in there, and I just got the perfect seat. I'm about in the 6th or 7th row, right in the middle. It's just great. And just waited out. The concert comes out, and they're just jamming and playing, and I'm just dancing, having the time of my life. And the band, they keep looking out there, and they're looking at each other. Why is everybody sitting down? Well, why is there only one person dancing? This is a Dead show. The whole crowd is. And no, they are dancing, but this one guy, he's standing on a chair. Get the security out there to get this guy off the chair. And somebody looks back out there and says, that's not some guy, that's Bill Walton. He's a basketball player from UCLA. He plays for the Trailblazers, and he's a really tall guy. Well, they say, well, I don't care who or what he is or how tall he is. He's blocking everybody's view. Get out there and get the security to move him out. And so they came out with a couple of backstage passes and said, Bill, the band would like you to come backstage so that the other fans could see the show. I said, come on. I just spent all day trying to get these seats, and I just really want to say, so I didn't leave. I wouldn't leave my seats. And then at halftime, the intermission, I went backstage and I met everybody, and that just totally turned my life. And over the years, they've become my best friends, and of course, all the Deadheads have become my best friends as well. Because there's nothing like going to a Grateful Dead show. There's nothing like going on tour. And Bill Graham said it best when he said, "They're not only the best at what they do; they're the only ones who do what they do." And to be involved, to be able to be a friend, but also to be a fan, because I am a fan, and I listen to the music all the time. And I used to have the greatest collection, concert t-shirts, the tapes, Betty, Harry, everybody would always ramrod. They'd always give me the tapes after the show, and I had the most unbelievable collection. And people would mail me tapes. People would leave them on my front door. I'd be walking through an airport. Somebody would come up and say, "Here, Bill, you got to listen to this. This is phenomenal." And it was just a really remarkable collection of music, shirts, artwork, all this stuff. And then our 4 sons became teenagers. And it was absolutely incredible because, well, our children growing up, they had been to shows when they were very young. But then when children are 8 or 9, they really start thinking, oh, my parents terrible. So they're looking at, oh, Dad, Jerry Garcia, Bob Dylan, the Grateful Dead, Rolling Stones, Neil Young. Who are these people? These guys are terrible. So, as a dad, you understand that that's the way young children are. And then the young boys became teenagers. And when they became teenagers, they discovered my closet. And they took everything, all the shirts, all the music. And that was fine because they were wearing the shirts and their buddies would wear them. And they were listening to the music and it was all great. And they were asking me for concert tickets and backstage passes. Dad, can you show us the tour book, itineraries and everything? Sure, no problem. It was all fine until one day. Because I had been listening to this particularly special CD. No, it wasn't a CD. It was way before CDs. A particularly great tape that was just Jerry at his finest, just all over the place, and just so clear, so sharp, so perfect, so absolutely special. And I had left it on my desk when I went on this road trip. And when I came back, the boys had re-recorded rap music over the top of this cassette of Jerry's Best. And I lost it that day. But now that they've grown up, now that they're on their own, I've had all my supplies replenished. And so now the library is once again complete.
And digital now, probably.
Oh, it's all digital. It's all perfect. It's all downloadable and file sharing and then the T-shirts. I've got a great collection, and the T-shirts are better than ever. But we have the posters and the signed memorabilia, and it's all really, really good. It was funny because one time Jerry gave all our boys, he gave them a signed guitar, and I don't know what happened to it. It was sad because we'll never get that stuff back. But that's life, and that's the way that Jerry was. He was an incredible saint of circumstance. He was a person who was so giving and so caring. He was never into himself, and there was no hype. There was no self-promotion. There was no ego out of control. He knew that he was a musician, and that's what he wanted to do all the time. And he just always had the guitar in his hand, and he just always practiced and always playing. And he was such a dynamic leader, and he was just always driven to do what was right, what was best, not only for the band, but for us, the fans, but for our world, our country, our nation, everything. And I'd ask him to play songs from other artists, or I'd say, Jerry, come on, how about this one? How about that? He'd say, no, come on, Walton, quit bugging me. That song's no good. That song is, it's too negative. It preaches the wrong message. And then he'd come out with these other great songs, and we'd just be so happy. And really, the only thing we ever wanted from Jerry was more.